Well, away from our regular programming, breaking news just reaching us says that white smoke has just risen from the chimney of the Sistine Chapel, signaling that a new pope has been elected. Crowds in St. Peter's Square are, cheering as they await the new pope's first appearance on the balcony, as he is expected to step out within the hour. All right, so in case you're just reaching us, breaking news once again says that white smoke has just risen from the chimney of the Sistine Chapel. So a new pope has been elected. What was expected to take days has actually happened on the second day. Now, the signal, says that the cardinals have chosen a new pope on the second day of the conclave, and his identity and name will be revealed soon within the hour. There are 133 voting cardinals and who have all been sequestered into the Vatican during the conclave. Now, in the beginning, any one of them, needed 2/3 of the vote to become the next pope. And, one person has actually gotten that particular vote. So we're seeing so many people gathered, in front of the Sistine Chapel at the moment, cheering, excited, and waiting for the announcement of who the new pope is. So the white smoke is still, on, and people, are so excited about the fact that a new pope has finally been chosen. And if you could remember, the past pope, that's the last pope, Pope Francis, had actually died sometime last month. He died at the age of 88 after a brief illness, and the conclave had to come together after. They had to come together after his death and his funeral to choose a new pope. And, a lot is actually going on, especially, the fact that so many people seem to think that it would have taken longer than 2 days to be able to be able to nominate a new pope. Now, but on the second day of the conclave is when the new pope was nominated. And like we've said earlier, white smoke has risen above the Sistine Chapel. You can see the number of people in front of the chapel awaiting to get more information about who the new pope is. So previously, it's been black smoke, noting that a pope had not yet been chosen, and the elections, while it was going on, it signaled that the cardinals had not yet chosen a new pope. But at the moment, second day of the conclave, his identity has not yet been revealed, but we are being told that it will be revealed very, very soon, within the hour. So the election took place with 133 cardinals voting, and all of them were inside the Vatican. They were locked during the conclave, and the idea was for any one of them, needing 2/3 of the vote to become the next pope. So we've said a lot about how the voting process actually works, and the white smoke rising from the Sistine Chapel means that each of the last 3 popes were elected in the afternoon of the second day of the conclave. We still do not know if the pope who was just chosen was elected at the 4th or 5th time, of asking. But we wait to see, what comes out within the next hour. As soon as they heard the bell and they saw the white smoke burst into applause, when they actually saw the white smoke pour out of the Sistine Chapel chimney, so many people gathered in front of the Sistine Chapel, waiting for the announcement of who the Pope might be. His identity and his name will be revealed as by the pontiff as the pontiff will be revealed very, very soon. You can see flags from different countries, being waved in front of the Sistine Chapel, showing that so many people from different countries, different parts, of the world are in front of the Sistine Chapel at the moment to show solidarity on the election of the new Pope. And there's so much excitement in the air, patiently waiting for the commencement of the announcement. So, but while this is actually going on, and while the election, went on earlier, there were some names that were chosen by more than 5 of the pontiffs. Like you said, 133. The 133 people in the conclave who gathered to to engage in the voting process. The names were John, Gregory, Benedict, Clement, Innocent, Leo, Pius, Stephen, Boniface, Urban, Alexander, Adrian, Paul. We're not yet sure which of these people has actually been chosen, but we are being told that in a moment, within the next hour, there would be an announcement to tell us who the Pope is, who the new Pope is. So while the announcement is expected to commence, previous conclaves have actually taught us that, the new Pope will be putting on the special papal garbs and taking a moment in a private room to compose himself before he is introduced to the world. And the Cardinal will soon proclaim Habemus Papam. That's a Latin phrase meaning that we have a Pope. So in this short speech from the main balcony of the St. Peter's Basilica, we will be able to learn the identity of the Cardinal who has been elected and the papal name that they have chosen. So it seems like a procession is on the way while we await the announcement of the new Pope. Watching the chapel's chimney for much of the past 2 days, all eyes are now on the main balcony of the St. Peter's Basilica. So many people are in front of the balcony awaiting the announcement of the new Pope. This is actually where the new Pope will soon make himself known to the world for everyone to see. So on how the Pope was elected, like we said earlier, it is not clear if the new Pope was chosen on the 4th or the 5th ballot of the conclave, but the results came very, very quick on the second day. And if you ask me, this is actually the first of its kind. The second day of the conclave, the first vote, set out where support lies, and then it very quickly became a 2-horse race because cardinals had to shift their support to leading candidates. And, the cardinal electors vote with folded ballots, which are shaken in an urn to mix them up to maintain secrecy. So you have no idea, who voted who. And, who the new pontiff is also still remains a secret for now. A little while longer, the new Pope will be announced to everyone at the same time on the balcony of the Sistine Chapel, on the balcony of the St. Peter's Basilica. Now, the past two popes, Benedict and Francis, were also appointed on the second day of the voting. Before them, there was John Paul II, who was appointed on the third day. And now that the white smoke signal has actually gone out, we are awaiting the new pope to appear at the balcony overlooking St. Peter's Square. Traditionally, this actually happens about 30 to 60 minutes. That's in less than an hour after the white smoke signal. And his papal name will also be announced, and the new pope will then speak briefly and say a prayer. His formal coronation will take place days after his election, because the last two popes have actually been inaugurated in the St. Peter's Square as well. But with time, we'll definitely give you updates on how that will happen and when it will definitely happen. So the mood at there's a procession going on, and if you can see the mood in front of the St. Peter's Basilica, people seem really excited, waiting for that moment when the announcement will actually come up. You can see people on their phones, people moving around to get a glimpse or grab of, of the information and what will happen. They're trying so hard to get like a clear glimpse of when the Pope would definitely come out to make himself known and the announcement. So there's hopes that the next pontiff treads a similar path as Pope Francis by helping the poor, fixing the world, helping immigrants, and the likes. There's so much, waiting or hanging on the shoulders of the Pope, so much that the world needs for him to do to be able to make a mark in the world, even as he becomes the next Pope. So as you can see from the small box or the small frame on the TV, very soon the new Pope will emerge from that balcony, to speak to the crowd and to speak to the world about his nomination, say a prayer as well, and say something little about what he intends to do. And, we'll definitely know who the Pope is in a moment. So everyone seems really excited. You can see people running around, coming towards the front of the chapel to be able to have a clear view of the Pope himself. I could actually see journalists moving around trying to get a good angle. People on their phones, excited, I'm sure, to tell the world that they are live at the Peter Square. To be able to see who the new Pope is and, share the good news. The crowd seems to be very, very excited, by the way. And as you can also see, flags from different countries, around the world. The people so excited, everyone coming from different parts of the world to show support to the newly elected Pope. Where is it?
Non ti sento, scrivimi. Scrivimi. Non ti sento malissimo. Sì, lo so, capito. So while we await the announcement of the new Pope, like we said earlier, that particular balcony that you can see on the smaller frame on your screen is where the Pope is expected to emerge. And then we will know who the 267th leader of the Catholic Church is. He'll be stepping onto the balcony very, very soon, balcony of the St. Peter's Basilica, and make himself known to the world. Now, first impressions really count, and this is the reason why we told you earlier that he would be stepping out in his full regalia, and you get to, see him, because from what we know, when Pope Francis stepped out onto the balcony in 2013, he did so dressed in simple white robes, shunning much of the papal, unlike his predecessors. So the new Pope is naturally expected, to come up dressed in do I call it in a regalia, befitting of a new Pope. But we'll wait to see if he will take on the same idea that the last Pope actually did. And the last time, that's talking about Pope Francis, he actually chose his name Francis as the papal name in honor of St. Francis of Assisi, who is the Italian saint who renounced his family wealth and also championed the Pope. So, which is actually what we saw happen during his lifetime, or his time as the Pope, because even when he died, we're told that only $100 was in his account. He did so much for the poor, did so much for the needy. And Francis also, when he was announced, that's for Francis, when he was announced to the crowd, he just came out with a simple Italian greeting, Buonasera, meaning good evening. So we do not have an idea what the new Pope would be saying, during his time. But he's also expected to say a prayer for everyone. And from what we've heard, the United States President Donald Trump has actually taken to the stage at the White House event, where he had a trade deal with the UK. Shortly after the white smoke actually started streaming out of the chimney, that's the Vatican chimney, he came out to say, "I saw the smoke, but I haven't seen the Pope." This is what he told the reporters in the White House East Room. And he actually drew criticism from the White House account, tweeted an AI-generated image of him dressed as the Pope ahead of the papal conclave this week as well. So we're still waiting for the new Pope to come up and show himself to the world. And this will be happening any moment from now. So just like we said earlier, white smoke was seen rising from the Sistine Chapel, meaning that each of the last three popes who were elected in the afternoon of the second day of the conclave, one of them has actually been chosen. One of them is expected to come out any moment from now in front of the balcony to, show himself, and pray for the world. And we still do not know if the Pope who was chosen was elected, during the first, second, third, or even the fourth or fifth time of asking. So, but everything will be made clear in time. And like we said, there was actually a huge share of relief and joy as so many people saw the plume of smoke rising from the Sistine Chapel chimney. So after watching the chapel's chimney for, the past 2 days, all eyes will now turn to the main balcony where the new Pope will soon make himself known to the world. And we can see so many people from different parts of the world awaiting the Pope. So many people are waiting to Pope. So any moment from now, there's a lot of patience. It's meant to happen in less than an hour, and it's been a little over 40 minutes since the white smoke was seen. So we're still waiting. Between 30 to 60 minutes, is what we were expecting. So I will say that we have 20 more minutes before the Pope shows himself. And but the major thing is we have a new Pope. So as soon as the news of the white Pope actually, white smoke spread through the Italian capital, we could actually see some people begin running through the streets of Rome to get to St. Peter's Square. And that was the reason why earlier you saw so many people trying to, make their way through to the front of the, the square, the front of the chapel. And people are continuing to stream in the square from every angle, every alley that leads to the Vatican. So many people are elated. This is actually big news because it has been much awaited since the death of the last Pope, that's Pope Francis. So many people have been wondering who the new Pope would be, even through the funeral of the last Pope, to the elections, the conclave, and all the black smokes from the first day. And now we're seeing white smoke. In the square itself, people are seen hugging, people are seen waving their flags, the country's flags, showing support, for the new Pope. People are seen crying tears of joy. Earlier, the crowd was actually angling, to get a good view of the Sistine Chapel, chimney. But right now, they're much closer to the balcony of the St. Peter's Basilica, where the new Pope is expected to emerge at the hour. You can actually see the streets, leading to the Vatican as well. So many people, are around the area just to have an idea, just to see who the Pope is or who the new Pope is going to be. So there's a lot of excitement. You can see a man, waving the United States and Indian flag, jumping, really excited. And I'm sure he's doing that because he can actually see himself on the big screen in front of the square. So many people excited, waving, and waiting. So this is actually a closer glimpse of, the type of crowd that you can actually see in front of St. Peter's Square. You can actually see bishops from different parts of the world around, delegates, citizens of citizens. You can see so many people, Catholics, Catholic, faithful, all being there just to show support, to whoever the new Pope is. And that is still the balcony. We're still waiting. We're still expectant to see who the new Pope is. There was a bit of a parade earlier. We thought at the end of the parade we would actually see an emergence of the new Pope, but while we're still waiting, we hope that this actually happens very soon as we're counting time, and we can still see people waving at the camera, jumping so excitedly and waving their flags as well. So much excitement from the crowd, most of them really elated. Earlier we saw thousands of people filing into the main square of the Vatican, as they were looking up to the chimney of the Sistine Chapel, to learn whether the Cardinals had actually elected a successor to Pope Francis. And now we're seeing them in front of the church itself, in front of the Basilica itself, as they anticipate who the new Pope is. The sense of anticipation is definitely in the building, and the Vatican media actually did say earlier about 15,000 people who were actually at the St. Peter's Square, and that was during the afternoon session on the second day of the elections. And now we're seeing so many more. We're talking about why age could actually be a key factor in choosing the next pope. So many things have actually been said. So many things had weighed on the minds of the 133 cardinals choosing the next pope. So many questions like, do they want the church to follow Pope Francis's priorities? Do they favor a more conservative pontiff? Do they want a pope from an underrepresented part of the world, which is one question that has actually been that was brought to the fore, so many times after St. Francis's death. Are they content to shop among the Europeans? As has actually happened for the most of the church's history. Those were some of the questions that were weighing on the cardinals' minds. They also talked about age likely to be a key factor in decision-making process. And 10 most recent popes were elected at the average of 67 years. And the last two popes, that's Benedict and Francis, were relatively old by the standards of the 20th century, beginning their papacies in their 70s. Benedict served for just under 8 years before stepping down at age 85, citing his poor health. And he was the first pope to resign since Pope Gregory XIV in 1415. So before him, there was John Paul II, who became pope at the age of 58 and served for more than a quarter of a century until his death at the age of 84. Vatican analysts have actually said the cardinals might choose to opt between these two extremes and try to find a pope old enough that they won't serve for decades and also young enough that they can lead the world's Catholics with vigor. So, we can see men, women, children coming out to celebrate the cardinals choosing the next pope and waiting for the next pope to emerge from the balcony and, present himself to the world. Assisi, that's the Saint Francis of Assisi, the Italian saint who renounced his family wealth and also championed the poor. And we could see how that lived in his lifetime as Pope. He was the first Pope to choose Francis as his name. Pope Benedict, that's Francis's predecessor, said he chose his name, which means the blessed in Latin, after Benedict, whom he said helped steer the church through World War I. So, another big question is, what name might the new Pope choose? So while we wait and while all of this is happening, history has actually taught us that previous conclaves, have actually taught us that the new Pope will be putting on a special papal garb. He'll be dressed in a papal regalia and he will be taking a moment in a private room to be able to compose himself, before he is introduced to the world. So, we're imagining that this is exactly what is happening at the moment, and the cardinal will soon proclaim Habemus Papam, that is a Latin phrase meaning we have a pope. And there'll be a short speech from the main balcony of the St. Peter's Basilica, which is the balcony with the red drapes that you're seeing in the smaller frame on your screen. And we will be able to learn the identity of the cardinal who has been elected and the papal name that they have chosen. We also told you earlier that United States President Donald Trump took to the stage at the White House because he previously had an event with on trade tariffs with the UK, where he spoke to the UK Prime Minister through via phone, and there was a representative in the White House as well. But then they had just finished the event shortly after the white smoke started streaming from the chimney, that's the Vatican chimney, and Trump, while giving a conference, while during his conference, said that he saw the smoke but he hasn't seen the Pope. This is according to what he told the reporters in the White House. And, we're waiting to see. I'm sure so many people around the world are also waiting to see. So earlier we also saw a procession, from the Swiss Guard and the band marching through the crowd and in St. Peter's Square and to the front, that's the balcony, the front of the square, the church. They marched through the crowd to the front of the square, and this is actually a way to entertain the crowd there and to also rejoice that a new Pope has been elected. Among the cheers from the thousands in St. Peter's Square, we're also celebrating of the new Pope. The Swiss Guard, the band marched. Right now they're standing in front of the church as well, waiting, just as everyone else is waiting in front of the square. And they actually added vibrant and joyful atmosphere. So the 267th leader of the Catholic Church will soon step onto the balcony. We have been waiting so far for almost an hour. In a few minutes, we'll make it 60 minutes. He will soon step out of the balcony of the St. Peter's Basilica and make himself known to the world. So people are asking if he will be, adorned in his Pope regalia or in garbs, or he would choose to come out in white plain clothes, just as Pope Francis did in 2013. Simple white robes, He didn't dress, he didn't wear the whole regalia, the whole papal pomp, that his predecessors did wear. And he chose Francis of Assisi. That's St. Francis of Assisi. He chose his papal name after St. Francis of Assisi, which is an Italian saint who renounced his family's wealth and championed the poor as well. And even when he came out, we did say that we're expecting the Pope, the new Pope, when he comes out, to say something brief and also say a word of prayer. But the last Pope came out saying good evening. He said it in Italian, buona sera. That was all he said, and then, he moved on. So we'll wait to see what the new Pope would be saying. We're all expectant.
Now let's move on with our bulletin. We'll begin the news where President Bola Tinubu touched down in Anambra State this afternoon for an official visit as part of his broader mission to strengthen collaboration with regional governments and advance national development. The Nigerian president arrived at the Chinua Achebe International Airport in Umueri aboard a Nigerian Air Force Airbus. Dressed in traditional Akwete Igbo attire with a signature red cap, President Tinubu proceeded directly to the ceremonial podium where the national anthem was performed in his honor. During his time in Awka, President Tinubu will commission a range of major infrastructure projects executed under the administration of Governor Chukwuma Soludo. Among the key projects to be inaugurated are the newly completed State Government House, the Solution Fund City, and the new Governor's Lodge, the first of its kind in over 3 decades. The refurbished House of Assembly is also set for official unveiling, and in addition to the commissioning events, the President will host a high-level town hall meeting with key stakeholders at the newly renovated Dr. Alex Ekweme Square, engaging directly with community leaders and policy makers. Abia State Governor Alex Oti has asked the Inspector General of Police to arrest Julius Abure, factional chairman of the Labour Party. The Abure faction of the LP on Wednesday indefinitely suspended Governor Oti and Ireti Kingibe, the senator representing the Federal Capital Territory, along with Darlington Nwakocha, Victor Afam Ogene, Amobi Oga, and Sheyi Showumi from the party. Now, reacting in a statement issued by Ferdinand Okeoma, his special advisor on media and publicity, Oti accused Abure of impersonation and described news of his suspension as a joke taken too far and an affront on democracy. Meanwhile, residents of Umuahia, the Abia State capital, are expressing concern over the recent statements credited to the Julius Abure-led executive and the Nadi Usman-led executive allegedly suspending some key members of the party. While some say the Abure supposed suspension was or has no bearing, others say it will negatively impact governance in Abia State since Governor Alex Oti is involved. They are also expressing disappointment that the party has allowed their rancor to linger for too long.
I don't want to talk about Abure suspending Oti, but the Supreme Court has the ruling about Labour Party that Abure is no more the chairman of the Labour Party. I think I'm right. So, and if that is the case, the suspension that will hold water is that of Nadi Usman suspending Abure, and that is going to.
Away from that, former President Goodluck Jonathan has decried the establishment of a one-party system in Nigeria through the back door. Jonathan cautioned that entrenching a one-party system in the country could destabilize the nation's fragile democracy. He gave the warning while speaking at the memorial lecture held in honor of the late elder statesman Chief Edwin Clark in Abuja. Political pundit Victor Atewe joined us from Abuja earlier to give us some insight into what's really going on the political landscape in the country.
Wake up to, it's really dangerous for our political system, given to the instability in the political terrain would belong, in Nigeria, and given to the fact that, there are a lot of, totalitarian, or let me use the word, autocratic movements, with the ruling party. So I think having a backdoor one-party state is really dangerous for our political setting, and it's really going to further sinking the democracy we so practice. So I think it's really a timely call, and I think all Nigerians should really wake up to that and look, because right now, what we have now, we have parties and we have people who are just about the interests, but the lack of ideology, and who put themselves first against nation building. So I think it's a wake-up call, and it's really timely. it's just not. I think because we belong to a political terrain where the ruling party is really using all means necessary to whisk the oppositions to themselves, those they feel that will help them win the next election. However, this is a long call, and we've always, there's no difference between the PDP and the APC. As such, we have people who are just there to, who are there to play themselves above even the so-called party they represent is about self. So I think we have that.
So the Pope, the new Pope, has actually come out dressed in his garb, and he has shown himself to the world finally, and we are awaiting his speech at the moment.
Gaudium Magnum. Habemus Papam. Eminentissimum, ac reverendissimum Dominum, Dominum Robertum Franciscum, Sancte Romane Ecclesiae, Cardinalem Prevost, qui sibi nomen imposuit Leonem XIV.
So the Pope is Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost, who's taken the name of Leo XIV, Pope Leo XIV. Cardinal Prevost is an American, and he spent most of his ministry in Latin America, in Peru, and also in Paraguay. And he's an Augustinian father. He was the provincial in Latin America, and then became the Bishop of Chiclayo in Peru. And he then is also, he became the Superior General of the Augustinian Fathers as well. He's now he's been the prefect of the dicastery for bishops.
We see the cardinal electors there appearing on the balcony there as well, with this joy and their smiles on their face.
A great joy indeed, and well, it wasn't one of those delays, so to say. What a great joy.
It's a wonderful joy, and he's from Chicago,
Yes.
Illinois.
Chicago.
Okay,
An American.
An American.
Yes.
And
an American. I think that's a historic moment.
For sure.
Truly, truly historic.
And you can see all the cardinals on the different
Yes.
balconies there. For our radio listeners, you may not be able to see this, of course, but they're appearing on all the balconies to the left and right of the central balcony there. All of them clearly standing out with their red vestments and smiles, and
waiting to again, for all of us to greet this new Pope as well,
Great new Pope.
which now we know his name.
Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost, Augustinian,
Amazing.
and has served as prefect of the dicastery for bishops. A native of Chicago, Illinois, in the United States.
Wow. And so, as we said before, you saw all the flags and everything out in the square, and now all the Americans are holding their flags.
Indeed.
Yeah.
It's a historic
And
moment.
the
Who would have
Peruvians
imagined?
too, I'm sure. Because he spent
that's
most of his ministry in Peru.
Yeah, and that's a
Yes.
special thing, So he has a connection with
missionary
multiple.
experience
Exactly.
and this
Exactly.
continuation of evangelization mission of the church.
The priority, yeah. So you can see still the like little pockets of red where all the
Yes.
cardinals are standing on the
Yeah.
balconies.
And from our Vati drone footage, and seeing it from above there, it's a unique view perched above in front of the facade and looking down at them as they're on the balconies there, awaiting now as the new Pope, as we mentioned there, Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost, and Pope Leo
XIV.
the 14th.
Pope Leo the
Pope Leo
Yes.
the 14th.
The 14th.
Yes. And of course, his Leo the 13th was the great social reforming pope for us.
He was
so,
a great social reformer.
Yeah, and he died in 1903, so still fairly recent in the grand scheme of
Was
things.
Pope Leo the one with Rerum Novarum?
yes, exactly.
Very good,
And
good
then-
memory.
From my seminary days.
And then his successors wrote other encyclicals every 40 years afterwards.
So he started like a
on the
trend.
social, yes, and it's really one of the constitutions of Catholic social ministry and
And
Catholic
probably I
social
would say
doctrine.
a pope needed for our times with all the social challenges the world
Yes,
has
yes.
today.
Yes.
And he's, relatively young, 69 years old, born
Yes.
on the 14th of September, 1955, as we mentioned, in Chicago, Illinois, and so 69.
Well, and Father Paul, as you were just saying, I agree, and maybe Father Bob, you can really stress this point because you work in
The
social work
dicastery
humanitarian.
for rural
Exactly.
Integral human development.
This
yes.
is an important aspect
Yes.
of the church.
Yes.
The
yes.
Catholic social, the
Yes.
Catholic social teaching, I
Yes.
think, is important,
Very.
and it's often called the untold story of the church, or perhaps the hidden secret of the church, and it has so much, and there's a lot of development.
And was one of the needs discussed by the cardinals during their congregations
Exactly.
this last week too. So.
Exactly.
Oh, there we see the
There's the American flag.
There's the US flag there. People are thrilled about this.
Yeah, and there's quite a number of American students.
Oh, yes.
Dr. O'Donnell was here, and he was going to be in the square with his American students. So you can imagine them
What a
Oh,
cheering.
yes.
It'll be a treat for them, indeed. Yes.
I can imagine the scene. The house I live behind is the Basilica of St. Augustine, where we have also the tomb of St. Monica inside
Yes.
there.
Yes.
So it must be a
Beautiful
great day
church,
for all
yeah.
the Augustinians there.
Yes.
Yeah, very special day.
Yes.
Indeed, he, looking at his biography in going back to more recent history, 1999, he was elected the provincial prior of the Mother of Good Counsel province in Chicago of the Augustinians. And after 2.5 years, the Ordinary General Chapter elected him prior general of the order of the OSAs. Ministry again entrusted to him in 2007 at their Ordinary General Chapter. And reading here, in October 2013, he returned to his province of Chicago to serve as teacher of the professed and provincial. He served as, and then, let's see, his roles there. And 3rd of November 2014, when Pope Francis appointed him apostolic administrator of the Diocese of Chiclayo in Peru, where he served many years, and he was made a bishop there and served there for many years. And then in March 2018, he became second vice president of the Peruvian Episcopal Conference. So working as a missionary there, a missionary bishop as well in Peru. Here we're seeing these beautiful shots of the
Yes.
Vatidrome there,
Cardinals, yes.
of at the same level almost of those balconies, and all the cardinals kind of crowded in those balconies.
And they look like they have the same anticipation that we
Right.
do.
Exactly. Exactly. Any moment now, Pope Leo XIV will be
Pope
appearing.
Leo the 14th.
Amazing.
Will be appearing from that balcony.
Pope
Well, and-
Leo the 14th.
Looking again at his predecessor,
Well, there you have it. The new Pope has been revealed as Robert Prevost of the U.S. He's the first American pontiff in history. He's 69 years of age and will be known as Pope Leo XIV. For more on this, we have our international correspondent, Afia Hagen. Afia, what more can you tell us about the new Pope?
Yes, the new Pope, Louis XIV. Very interesting that he chose that name. The previous Pope, Pope Louis XIII, was a Pope that was really for workers, for the poor, someone who's going to continue the work of Pope Francis, it's thought, but try and solidify the work he did and make it into, Vatican laws, continue the work that Pope Francis was doing. So our new Pope, Pope Louis XIV, he was born in Chicago in 1955. He was ordained as a priest in 1982, and he took on the path of becoming a missionary in Peru. He lived there in a diocese for 2 decades. Now, in 2023, Pope Francis called him back to Rome and appointed him, the prefect of the dicastery for bishops, one of the most powerful roles in the Vatican. And he oversaw the global selection of bishops. He helped to shape the leadership of the Catholic Church. Now, he wasn't necessarily a front runner. His name was definitely in the mouths of people who were talking about who could be the next pope, but he certainly wasn't the front runner. But it's clear that he was a really, really popular choice, obviously, because he has now become Pope Louis XIV, and we can see him stepping out onto the balcony now in those papal robes for the first time that we're going to see him. But it's also about the speed of which he was picked. 4 votes it took, 4 rounds of voting, second day before he was elected. That shows that there was a consensus pretty early on that he would be the best choice, and here we see the new Pope Louis XIV. Now, it took over an hour for him to come out onto the balcony to greet the faithful. There's apparently over 60,000 people in St. Peter's Square this evening, emerging from what's called the Room of Tears after he's had his papal fitting there. And yeah, jubilation absolutely in St. Peter's Square and around the world at this moment. We were seeing the first ever American Pope elected.
All right, Afia, now what has been the reaction, to the election of the new Pope? We've seen so many people gathered, waving their flags, especially Americans, super excited that one of theirs has been chosen.
Yeah, as I said, jubilant scenes there in St. Peter's Square and around the world, people I've been talking to in the past hour. I think people were relieved, absolutely, that the vote didn't take as long as potentially it could. And I think Americans will be very, very pleased that they have elected the first American Pope in history, but also someone who, at this time when the world needs it, will carry on the good work that people feel that Pope Francis did. So I think really people perhaps are a little bit surprised that they have elected Robert Prevost to be this new Pope, Pope Louis XIV, but pleased certainly that this was a good choice.
All right, so what happens now?
Well, what we're seeing now is Pope Louis XIV will greet the faithful, he'll talk to them in St. Peter's Square, and then he will have dinner with the rest of the cardinals, and conclave is over. The cardinals will go back to their various points around the world, and that's when the real work begins. Yes, he is the head of the Catholic Church, the head of over 1 billion Catholics around the world, but it is very political.
All right, Afia, there seems to be
also
something going on. Let's take a look. Let's take a listen and hear what is going to be said now. Let's hear.
And you can hear the chanting from the square.
Long live the Pope. Viva el Papa. Viva el Papa.
Viva el Papa.
And we're all silent now, awaiting his first words.
La pace sia con tutti voi. Fratelli, sorelle carissimi, questo è il primo saluto del Cristo risorto, il buon pastore che ha dato la vita per il gregge di Dio. Anch'io vorrei che questo saluto di pace entrasse nel vostro cuore, raggiungesse le vostre famiglie, a tutte le persone, ovunque siano, a tutti i popoli, a tutta la terra. La pace sia con voi.
just hearing the first words of Pope Leo XIV. As he continues, we'll provide a summary here in just a moment as we listen to his words. He's asked everyone to, brothers,
Questa è la pace di Cristo risorto.
this is the peace
Una
of the risen
pace
Christ.
disarmata e una pace disarmante,
Peace that
umile
is
e
disarming and
perseverante.
humble and persevering.
Proviene da Dio,
It comes from
Dio
God.
che ci ama a tutti
God who loves all of us
incondizionalmente.
without any limits and conditions.
Ancora conserviamo nei nostri orecchi
And
quella voce debole ma sempre
we still have
coraggiosa
the
di
sound in
Papa
our ears of
Francesco
the weak
che
voice of Pope
benediva
Francis,
Roma.
who is blessing Rome here. We have that fresh in our minds, in our hearts, in our ears, hearing his voice.
Il Papa che benediva Roma,
The Pope who was blessing
dava la sua
Rome,
benedizione al mondo
giving his blessing
intero,
to the world
quella mattina del giorno di
on
Pasqua.
that morning, on that day of Easter Sunday.
Consentitemi di dar seguito a quella stessa
Allow me
benedizione.
to continue
Dio
that
ci vuole
same
bene.
blessing.
Dio vi ama a tutti
God loves
e il
everyone.
male non prevarrà.
Evil will not
Siamo
prevail.
tutti nelle mani di
We are
Dio.
all in the hands of God.
Pertanto, senza paura,
So without fear,
uniti,
united,
mano nella mano con Dio
hand in
e tra
hand,
di noi,
with God and among
andiamo
ourselves,
avanti.
we go forward.
Siamo discepoli di Cristo.
We are disciples of Christ.
Cristo ci precede.
Christ goes before us.
Il mondo ha bisogno della sua luce.
The world needs his light.
L'umanità necessita di Lui come
Humanity
il ponte
needs
per
him.
essere raggiunta da Dio e dal suo amore.
But as the bridge between God and his love,
Aiutateci anche voi, poi gli uni gli altri, a costruire i ponti
may we all
con il dialogo,
build
con
bridges
l'incontro,
with dialogue and
unendoci
encounter,
tutti per essere un solo
so that we
popolo,
can all be
sempre in pace.
one people, all in peace.
Grazie a Papa Francesco.
Thank you, Pope Francis, for all you've done. We're hearing the first words here of Pope Leo XIV, just elected Pope.
Voglio ringraziare anche tutti i confratelli cardinali
I'd like to also
che
thank my
hanno
brother cardinals
scelto me
who chose
per essere
me to
successore di
be
Pietro,
the successor
di
of Peter
camminare insieme a voi
and to
come Chiesa
walk along
unita,
with you,
cercando sempre la pace, la giustizia,
searching all together for
cercando
peace and
sempre
justice,
lavorare come uomini
and
e
working
donne
together,
fedeli a Gesù Cristo,
men and women faithful
senza
to Christ,
paura,
without
per
fear,
proclamare il
to
Vangelo,
proclaim the
per
gospel,
essere missionari.
to be missionaries. Pope Leo offering these initial words, which we're just translating on the fly here.
Un figlio di Sant'Agostino,
I'm a son of St.
Agostiniano.
Augustine, and I'm an Augustinian
che ha detto: con voi sono cristiano
who
e
said,
per voi vescovo.
with
In
you I am a
questo
Christian,
senso
and for you
possiamo
I am a bishop.
tutti camminare
So
insieme
may we all
verso quella
walk
patria
together towards that,
la quale Dio ci ha preparato.
to the place that God has prepared for us. May we walk
Alla
together, accompany each
Chiesa
other. To the Church
Di Roma,
of Rome,
un saluto speciale.
a special greeting. As Bishop of Rome, of course, a special greeting.
Dobbiamo cercare insieme come essere una
We've gotta
chiesa missionaria,
Look at how we can together be a missionary
chiesa che
church,
costruisce i ponti,
a church
di
that builds
dialogo,
bridges,
sempre aperta a ricevere, come questa
that is always
piazza
open
con le braccia
to
aperte,
receive
a tutti,
everyone,
tutti coloro
just
che
like
hanno
in this
bisogno
square, to receive
della
everyone,
nostra carità,
to welcome
la nostra
everyone,
presenza,
our
il
charity,
dialogo, l'amore.
our dialogue and love.
Y se me permiten también una palabra, un saludo
And now, a greeting in Spanish. Please allow me here
a
to
todos aquellos, y en modo particular a mi querida diócesis de Chiclayo en el
So
Perú,
to all of you, but especially to the people of my diocese of Chiclayo in Peru,
donde un pueblo fiel ha acompañado a su obispo, ha compartido su fe y ha dado tanto, tanto para
where we
seguir
had such faithful
siendo
people
iglesia
accompanying
fiel de
the bishop,
Jesucristo.
and we had such faithful
A
people
tutti voi,
helping the
fratelli e
bishop.
sorelle di Roma, d'Italia, di tutto il mondo,
all of you,
vogliamo essere una
people of
chiesa
Rome and of Italy,
sinodale, una chiesa che cammina, una chiesa che
we need
cerca
to be a
sempre la
synodal
pace,
church, a
cerca
church that's a
sempre la
pilgrim,
carità, cerca
that
sempre di
shows
essere
charity
vicino
always.
specialmente a coloro che soffrono.
and especially is charitable to those who are suffering.
Oggi,
Today,
il giorno della supplica alla Madonna di Pompei.
today is the day of praying to the
Nostra
Madonna
Madre
of
Maria
Pompeii.
vuole sempre camminare con noi, stare
Our
vicino,
Blessed Mother Mary always
aiutarci con
wants
la
to be
sua
close to
intercessione, il
us.
suo amore.
She always
Allora
wants
vorrei
to
pregare
intercede for
insieme a
us
voi.
through her love.
Preghiamo insieme per
So
questa nuova missione,
let us pray
però
together
per
for this
tutta
new
la
mission,
Chiesa, per
for
la pace
all of the
nel
church,
mondo.
for peace in the
Chiediamo
world,
questa grazia speciale.
that she will
Maria,
help us get
nostra
give us
madre.
a special grace, our mother.
Ave Maria, piena di grazia,
Hail Mary,
il
full of
Signore è con
grace,
te.
the Lord is with
Tu
you.
sei benedetta fra le donne,
You are blessed
e
among women,
benedetto è il frutto del tuo
and blessed
seno,
is the fruit
Gesù.
of your womb, Jesus.
Santa Maria,
Holy
Madre
Mary,
di Dio,
Mother of God,
prega per noi peccatori,
pray for us sinners,
adesso e nell'ora della
now and at the
nostra
hour of our
morte.
death.
Amen.
Amen.
Pope Leo XIV there.
Pope Leo XIV, very interesting. A few themes coming out already there from his first piece, talking about peace.
Indeed, saying a greeting of peace. May my greeting of peace enter into your hearts and reach your families. All people, wherever you are, all peoples of the entire planet. May peace be with you. God's peace be with you, he said. And here we see him in his, after having given that opening and beautiful words.
Continuing
to all.
also the message of Pope Francis, where he even said in Spanish and Italian, tutti,
Il
tutti, tutti,
Santo
todos.
Padre Leone, a tutti i fedeli presenti
And
And so
the
Pope,
e a
Holy Father
quelli
Pope
che
Leo, and
ricevono la
to
sua
all people
benedizione
and
a
in
mezzo
the
della
square and all
radio, della
receiving
televisione e
are
delle
hearing
altre
this
tecnologie di
through new technology,
comunicazione,
online, everywhere.
concede l'indulgenza plenaria
Offers his,
della forma
the
stabilita dalla
plenary
Chiesa.
indulgence in the formula established by the
Preghiamo
Church.
Dio
We pray
Onnipotente
to Almighty God
perché conservi a lungo
that-
il Papa
that
a
he may
guida della
keep the
Chiesa
Pope
e conceda pace e
and protect
unità
him
alla Chiesa in
and guide the
tutto il
Church.
mondo.
and the entire world. Now he'll give this most solemn blessing to the entire world, to all of you joining us.
to everyone.
So we now prepare ourselves to receive this solemn blessing wherever we are, at home, in your car, at work, wherever you are.
Sancti Apostoli Petrus et Paulus, de quorum potestate et auctoritate confidimus,
So
ipsi intercedat pro nobis ad Dominum.
the holy apostles
Amen.
Peter and Paul,
Precibus et meritis Beate Mariae semper Virginis,
and we
Beati
also
Michaelis
pray to the
Arcangeli,
Blessed Mary,
Beati Ioannis Baptiste, et Sanctorum Apostolorum
Saint-
Petri et Pauli et omnium Sanctorum. Misereatur vestri omnipotens Deus, et dimissis omnibus peccatis vestris, perducat vos Iesus Christus ad vitam aeternam. Amen. Indulgentiam, absolutionem et remissionem omnium peccatorum vestrorum, spatium vere et fructuosae penitentiae, cor semper penitens, et emendationem vitae, gratiam et consolationem Sancti Spiritus, et finalem perseverantiam in bonis operibus tribuat vobis omnipotens et misericors Dominus. Amen. Et benedictio Dei omnipotentis, Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti descendat super vos et maniat semper.
And we just heard heard the blessing there, received the blessing there of Pope Leo XIV, and to the world, to the city, this most solemn blessing to all of us and all of you listening and watching out there.
What is interesting, he is smiling, and I found very touching the fact that he made reference to his former diocese in Peru and spoke to them in Spanish. Very, very touching moment, and how they are thanking them for how they accompanied him. And so from this moment, I think we all accompany the new Holy Father with our prayers and support.
And once again, he asked, just like Pope Francis did before, he asked for continued prayers. This is a heavy task, as we all noted before, and he continues to ask all of us for prayers and also for the intercession of Our Lady on the special feast day.
And he asked us especially to be bridge builders, as he is, Pontifex, a bridge builder as well, but that we should all be building bridges, both here in the Diocese of Rome, in Italy, and throughout the world, and that we should build that on fraternity and on solidarity and on dialogue. So many times Pope Francis told us the same. There have been false debates, I think, in leading up to this about unity and diversity and things, but he's made it clear that he's looking for us to be united, but also to be the bridge builders and to bring about peace in the world through our bridge building.
We're seeing this stunning footage, or this video, our Vati drone there going close to the balcony and seeing, I think for the first time, unique images like this up close of the new Pope.
And there's about 100,000 people we're getting in this square right now who are seeing Pope Leo XIV for the first time.
There's Sister Norma Pimentel from the border of Texas and Mexico that Pope Francis, she spoke to him when he was there.
That's amazing, all the people who are appearing in the square now and the connections they had present and past. Again, quite a novelty, an American Pope. Right. And here he is waving, and again, once again, you can see the emotion and sense of responsibility,
the weight of the office.
And this is a beautiful view, seeing from inside the loggia, looking out, what he would see as he waves to the crowds.
It's a very interesting place there, TJ. I don't know if you remember, we used to do the commentaries from that place.
Indeed, commentary positions behind, off to the side of that big hall of blessings, and after those blessings.
All right, so just as you've heard, the new Pope's first speech, his tribute to the last Pope, late Pope Francis, and also, his prayer for the world. And right now, to speak more to us on this, we have Father Caius Ugu, from the Vatican to speak to us on this. Thank you so much for joining us, Father Ugu.
Very happy to be here. Thank you also for inviting me.
You look really, really excited, just as so many people around the world. So please go ahead and tell us, how you feel at the moment, and also what you can say about the new Pope.
I don't know if I can continue like this, or I go and put on the light. Somebody touched this, so the light went off from my side.
Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Okay. All right. Like you rightly said, the joy is enormous all over the world, Catholic world, Christian world, and I would say all the lovers of the church. We are happy, and we really thank God for this gift He has given to us again. So sorry for the distraction. It's a glorious moment for us. It's a glorious moment with which we thank God. And we also thank the Cardinals who took only 2 days to give us a new Pope. And it's a moment to celebrate. As you can see, the bells of the St. Peter's Square ringing for joy all over Rome. Now the church bells are ringing to celebrate this new gift of a new Pope in the Catholic Church.
Okay. Now, he chose his... Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Father Ugu?
Very well, yeah.
All right, so he chose his papacy, his papacy name, that's Pope Leo XIV. How do you think his papacy would actually differ from Pope Francis's?
So while he is an American by birth, being born in Chicago.
Well, to tell you, the new Pope, actually, he wasn't even among if I should say, the rumor. So everything is coming as a surprise. The choice, even though he's a very famous person in the Catholic Church, he has held the position very famous. But I can say, from the rumors we are hearing on this side, he wasn't even among the first 5 that people were talking about.
All right, we seem to be having network connection issues with Father Ugo, but thank you for your time, Father. And I will take a quick breather. When we come back, we'll continue with the news. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us on News Now. Now, in Angola, a major legal and political showdown is unfolding after a Luandan court abruptly blocked a national debate on electoral reform, drawing sharp criticism from the country's Bar Association. On Thursday, the Angola Bar Association, known as the OAA, condemned the last-minute court order as a severe blow to democracy. The ruling came just hours after the OAA was set to host a national dialogue aimed at examining proposed changes to the country's electoral laws ahead of the 2027 general elections. Now, the court ruled the event fell outside the OAA's legal mandate, effectively cancelling the gathering, which had invited civil society leaders, journalists, academics, and legal experts to participate in what the organizers described as an open forum to listen, reflect, and debate key issues of public interest. At the heart of the controversy are proposed reforms that include the use of national identity cards as the sole document for voting and the introduction of mobile polling stations. In Senegal, lawmakers have opened a critical debate that could send shockwaves through the country's political establishment. On Thursday, the National Assembly began discussions on whether to allow several former government ministers to stand trial before a special court facing serious allegations of embezzlement. The charges stem from accusations that they misappropriated funds intended to combat the COVID-19 pandemic. Among those named is Mustafa Diop, the former Minister of the Industrial Development and Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises. The move comes under the leadership of President Bassirou Diomaye Faye, whose party holds a majority in the assembly. Elected in March last year, Faye campaigned on a bold promise to reform governance and crack down on corruption, setting his administration apart from that of President Macky Sall, who led the nation for over a decade. The United Nations has raised alarm over the worsening humanitarian crisis in South Sudan, where escalating violence is blocking life-saving aid from reaching tens of thousands of malnourished children. In a joint statement released Thursday, the World Food Programme and UNICEF revealed that intense fighting in Upper Nile State has halted the delivery of critical nutrition supplies for nearly a month, leaving an estimated 60,000 children without the support they desperately need. The clashes between forces loyal to President Salva Kiir and those aligned with Vice President Riek Machar have intensified along the White Nile, a key humanitarian transport route. As a result, the agency says not a single aid delivery has made it into the area in weeks. On World Wrap, Pakistan's army has shot down 25 Indian drones a day after the world's worst violence between the nuclear-armed rivals in 2 decades. Now, Pakistani Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif vowed to retaliate after India launched deadly missile strikes on Wednesday morning, escalating days of gunfire along their border. At least 45 deaths were reported from both sides following Wednesday's violence, including children. Pakistan and India have fought several wars over the Muslim-majority disputed region of Kashmir divided between the two but claimed in full by both. Remember, you may send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen. Do follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, GoTV channel 23, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. All right, with this, we will move on to the Vatican, and we'll bring you live feed from what is happening around and in the Vatican. Stay with us. Pope Leo XIV, born Robert Francis Prevost, OSA, who was born in September 14, 1955. He's an American Catholic prelate who has been head of the Catholic Church and also sovereign for the Vatican City-State since 8th of May 2025. He served as prefect of the dicastery for bishops and also president of the Pontifical Commission for Latin America since 2023. He previously served as Bishop of Chiclayo in Peru from 2015 to 2023 and was Prior General of the Order of St. Augustine from 2001 to 2013. In 2015, Cardinal Prevost became a naturalized citizen of Peru as confirmed by Peru's National Civil Registry. He was elected Pope on May 8, 2025, becoming the first American to hold the office.